What that would look like.
Hi, everyone. Allan here with Night Talk Live, wherever you are on this fine Friday morning, actually Friday afternoon where I am. Hope you're well. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Suzka Marais. I met her recently on Facebook, as I do a lot of my networking on Facebook. And she's a fascinating young lady. She's a certified hypnotherapist. And today we've decided we are going to speak about the whole subject of trauma. That's a big one. So hopefully we'll keep it relatively focused. So first and foremost, Suzka, welcome to Night Talk.
Thank you. Honored to be here. Thank you so much, Allan.
Where are those beautiful trees? Is that Vancouver?
This is Vancouver. Yes, it's actually North Vancouver. So we have a sort of a vineyard, my own version of a balcony vineyard. And yeah, I'm up in the mountains and it's beautiful. Lots of fresh air. And
so we could say you don't live a very traumatic lifestyle.
Not right now, no.
Have you had trauma in your life at all, ever?
Yes, I have. Yep. Yes.
Firstly, it might be helpful. Let's identify what we mean by the word trauma. Why don't you take a shot at it? What do we mean when we use the word trauma?
Yeah, so in my understanding, the best way to explain it is when you have a situation or something that occurs in your life where everything is thrown upside down, so to speak. So it's a negative, usually negative impact, something that, whether it's a car accident or a breakup with somebody, everything is going along like this, and all of a sudden it just blows up and something happens. And it really changes your whole belief system, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your surroundings. And for some people, they can, just suck it up, get over it. For other people, they can ruminate there and stay there for a really long time. And all kinds of things can come out from that, like addictions and other really negative self-sabotaging habits, things like that. And people aren't able to live their full abundant life.
Very well said. I don't know about you, but I call them the Scud missiles of life, the obstacles and challenges that come our way. Some are small, some are large. But I have found in my own life and in a lot of other people as well, that my own growth personally has been more impacted by how I dealt with the Scud missiles and the challenges than just by thinking positively. Obviously, thinking positively is a good thing, but it's really how we manage the challenges that happen in our life. So let me ask you this: in the work that you do, well, you said earlier when we were chatting that there are different types of trauma, ones that you could be born into and ones that come later. Could you explain what you mean by that?
Sure. So, the ideal childhood is you grow up into a beautiful household, everyone's loving and great and paying attention to you. You're this, you're born this perfect being, right? You get the love, you get the attention, everything you need. And then there's people that are born into a war-torn country, for example, or they're abandoned as children and they're infants and they're orphans. So you're born into an environment that's already not conducive to loving and supporting, which is what all humans need. And as babies, we need that. But of course, people survive and they get through it. So that's kind of the interesting part of human development, in my opinion, and how people deal with all of that.
On that note, we hear of stories of a brother or sister, two brothers, two sisters, whatever the case may be, brought up in the same home. Let's say it was a war-torn situation, traumatic at birth, and one seems to grow up very happily, contentedly, relatively effortlessly, and the other one might be extremely challenged. How would you explain that, if at all?
Yeah. The way I would explain it is personality types. We all come into this world completely different. We all come here with a unique gift of who we are, our energy, what we bring. So we're already either more empathic or we're more aggressive or we're more this or we're more that. So everybody has an energy that they come in with already. So if you're a highly sensitive person, such as myself, I didn't know that was a thing until a few years ago, actually. It became kind of a topic in psychology. So when you're a highly sensitive person, you tend to feel things really deeply. So it can be a lot harder to get over things that come at you, or the way the world is, for example, being really hard and cold. And you're just like, why is this place like this? And to somebody else, it might not bother them at all. So I think that's just, I would explain it personally as like a soul, how your soul comes into this world.
So The only way I would describe it a little bit differently because of my belief systems
Sure.
is I believe in reincarnation. So I think that reincarnation, if it's true, just imagine reincarnation is true, how we lived before would impact to some degree how we come back. But obviously the combination of that plus personality. But that was very good explanation that you gave. You know, I never heard it put that way. So in your, just to keep this a little personal,
Yeah.
what would you say if you were to choose one thing in your life that you experienced that you would have considered to be somewhat traumatic? What was that? And how did you overcome it? And how quickly did you overcome it? I
Um,
have an hour. I have an hour.
yeah, good. No, we don't need an hour, but you need a lifetime for some things. I was raised in a very, like my family came from the war. They fled the Czech Republic in 68 and came to Canada to give us a better life. So my parents already came to Canada with this, burden of leaving their entire family, everything that they knew just for safety. So that's already cutting at the core of the safety of humanity, which we're all entitled to. So that already affects an individual. So both my parents lost both their fathers in the war. So they both were killed, basically. And so I grew up not having any extended family. My grandmothers were left in the Czech Republic. And so when we came to Canada, it was very stressful, or when they came to Canada for them, sorry, it was very stressful. So when they ended up having kids, my sister and I, they were really strict. They were really like, you got to prove yourself. We're immigrants. We got to come to this world. We got to really make something of our lives. So that already was a very stressful environment to grow up in. And of course, when you're in a household, you don't know any different than what you experience. So you think this is normal. This is great, right? Then I go to my friend's house and I'm like, hey, you guys are like really relaxed and everything is like really easy going and, totally different. And I was always really shocked at that. And then there's this silence thing where when you grow up in the family like myself, where you're not allowed to talk about whatever happens. So the very strict, like I'm a musician, my sister's a pianist, so it was very strict. We had to wake up at 6 a.m. We had to go running. We had to practice our instruments every day. And those are great things that have carried through to my life right now. And I'm super grateful for that. So I can't even complain because now I have a career as a musician and lots of great things came out of it. However, the anxiety, the stress, the physical violence, there was emotional violence, all that kind of stuff, really affected my self-esteem and who I was as a person, especially through my growing years as a teenager and into my 20s. I really struggled with that. And I literally, like I went to university, studied psychology, and then I just had to take time off and go into the world and just find myself and find what am I doing here? What's this all about?
Mhm. So that's when you finally took hold of who you are and made a commitment to overcome the trauma that you initially experienced.
Yeah, well, I had to dig deeper. It wasn't just about performing and being this person on the outside. Like so many people look successful to the outside world, like everything is great, they got it going on. And deep inside, there's this pain. There's
Right.
something that hasn't ever been touched and no one's talked to them about it. So a lot of my work looks into that inner child, like, what happened to you? What was that
Now,
thing?
a lot of people who talk about trauma or pain or their pain often will say, wow, I had a lot of trauma in my background. I had a lot of pain in my background. It's going to take me a long time to overcome it. They have this kind of associated belief system. How do you respond to that? Do you think it needs to take a long time to overcome trauma of different intensities?
No, it doesn't. And I wish I'd known this a long time ago, but now we're at the point in psychology where we're aware of how to access those thoughts. Often it gets buried into our subconscious mind. So in my practice, we go into those thoughts, we go deep into the root cause of what is causing the pain or where you're feeling blocks. And we literally go in there and it's like cancer. You go and you dig and you take that root issue out and you deal with it in the mind in a way that allows you to keep functioning in today's world and putting it together in a way that makes sense to you so you're able to get over it rather than it running you, which is what the subconscious mind does in our daily life, right?
I know that there's probably a lot of tools and techniques that you teach your clients, but is there something that you could share with the audience, even one little tip or one little tool that could be useful in this regard?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things I do, and it's RTT, so it's a practice that many of us do. It's called rapid transformational therapy. And one of the things that we do is called upgrade the child. So we basically take that little being that we were, say, between the ages of like 2 and 12, and we really go back to that time in life where things maybe were crazy, or you weren't comforted, or you weren't looked after. Maybe you were dealing with an abusive household or alcoholics or something. And you take that child as an adult now and say, I've got you. I've got you now. Now you're safe with me. Like, I'm going to hold you. So you become the loving parent to yourself, to
Mhm.
that little child. And I'm like, I'm going to love you. I'm going to care for you. I'm going to give you everything that you need now.
Right.
It's never too late. My point is, doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, 50, 60, you can still go back to that inner child, that little 2-year-old that maybe wasn't hugged by mom or hugged by dad or whatever the situation. There's so many different things. Some people have been in sexual abusive situations. So their first experience is with an elder, which is, if you haven't been through that, it's horrific to imagine having to go through that. But I know many people that are functioning just fine having gone through that.
It seems to always come back to accepting and loving yourself. I mean, even as you know, I have a 9-step formula that I've developed over the years after being a Zen monk for 9 years of my life.
Yeah.
And the first 7 steps of the 9 steps, I tell everybody it has to do with accepting, loving, adoring yourself like your own child. Because if you can do that and you get to that level of self-mastery and a joyful heart, then you just share that with others naturally, and you overcome many of your dysfunctional tendencies in relationships. So it seems that all of us, in one way or another, have different slants on healing yourself, loving yourself, and empowering yourself as a foundation to great relationships. Now, sorry, did I interrupt you? Were you going to say
No, I'm
something?
just agreeing with you, like, absolutely. And I think it's amazing. I find it so fascinating that you did, 9 years of meditation, because I'm also trained in meditation. I did it for 10 years, of helping people with meditation and yoga. But I was curious as to how much it helped you, just even controlling your mind, like taking that much time to just meditate and focus on meditation itself, how that helped your mind deal with anything that you were going through.
Well, obviously it did. There's good news and bad news, if I can say it that way. The good news is when I lived like a monk, I did so. I entered into that lifestyle because I really was passionate about achieving enlightenment and becoming free and living the inner peace that most of us always desire to live. And so through the meditation, through the intensive approach to meditation, I did chanting, I did other practices, then I was able to tap into what I currently call the Zenzone mindset. Problem: I missed women too much and I left the monastery after 9 years. And when I went back into society, I quickly saw that I was a bit of a basket case when it came to other areas of my life. So I saw clearly that if you isolate yourself too much from the external world and put too much emphasis on the internal world, that could be problematical. And that's what led me to realize and develop the 9-step formula, which deals with all of it: healing the past, creating a vision for yourself, building your inner muscles of self-confidence and feeling great in your own skin, then outward in building a lifestyle with your time management and career and all the other things you do in life, and then busting through the barriers. And once you feel great, then you could more easily master your communication skills, because then it's just a matter of content and techniques. So to answer your question, I realized that meditation by itself was not the answer for everybody. As a matter of fact, there were people that I tried to teach meditation to. The more they meditated, the worse it got, because they were too angry. So unless you mastered number 2, which is letting go of the negative past, then it's harder to go into number 4, which includes inner power and self-mastery. And that's where meditation comes in. So that's what motivated me to create a more holistic approach to inner freedom, inner fitness, and communication mastery. I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh, absolutely. No, I find that really That's really thorough. And what I find interesting is when you speak about anger, for example, anger comes up a lot in my sessions, and it's like anger that people have never released. They're like, I let them swear. I let them like let it out if they want to, like, swear at their mother or father, and they never could when they were a child because somebody was like doing something to them, or you know what I mean? It's like you need to get that out. If you never were able to say or speak about it and you just suppress that, you're going to be angry. You're going to be angry your whole life. And it's going to
Absolutely.
come out in different ways. And that's what I'm talking about when I say, people just can live their life and everything looks so great from the outside, and you can see someone and they look so successful, everything looks so great, but you don't know what's going on the inside of them. You don't know what they, right?
It's very true. And that's why, one of the simple tools that I teach almost everybody is that if you have suppressed emotions, express them in a healthy way, whether it's anger, sadness, laughter, fear, whatever it be, channel that, release it, then go up into the head and change the mindset, because expressing the emotion by itself will not be a total answer. You got to change the associated belief system around that. And
Exactly.
then you've got to take consistent action in a positive way, and then ultimately communicate with others effectively. So that's the 4 cylinders become very important in truly mastering yourself. So we're on the
I
same wavelength.
absolutely no, I totally agree with that. It's the consistency, because as you're right, you can access that thing and you can work on it and say, okay, I'm dealt with that. But it's the consistency. It's everything is a habit. So it's just like the mask wearing today. After 21 days, everyone's just going to automatically put it on and go outside. This is what we're doing. And it becomes a habit. So
That's what
anything can be changed if it's continually repeated over and over and over again. That's hypnosis. So you
that's
can hypnotize yourself. Sorry. Yeah.
that's why the least sexy thing I teach is number 5. That's action and accountability, taking charge. Because everyone loves to talk about the techniques and visualization and meditation and the sexy things. But when it comes to doing the little things every day to make your life happen, they kind of resist it. Now,
But it is sexy when people do it, when they actually,
oh,
that's like, oh my God, that's amazing. A human being that's taking accountability for themselves. Like
it's the most powerful thing when it happens. We could go on and on. We'll have to do this again. But how do people get in touch with you if they want to know more about what you do and how you offer it?
I have a website where pretty much everything is on there. You can contact me from there. It's Suzka, Suzka, Maris, Mares.com, SuzkaMaris.com. And then I'm on Facebook. Bliss Life Sessions is my company name for the hypnotherapy. So you can find me on my Facebook page, Bliss Life Sessions. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's one. So thank you so much again for being with us. I'll just take 1 minute to let people know as well that if anybody, as I think I talked to you about this as Suzka as well, is that if anybody has a real passion and the desire to be a coach, but either doesn't have an existing program that's complete on their own, and they would love to be a speaker, trainer, coach, that's what I do. And my 90% of the work I'm doing is teaching people to become certified trainers with the 9-step formula that I teach. So if you have any interest, or if you know anyone who's interested, feel free to contact me at allan@allanknight.com. Thank you so much again, Suzka, and we'll have to do this again sometime soon.
Yes, definitely.
Take care.
All right. You
Bye,
too.
everyone.